Hello and welcome to a Halloween special. Today we're doing a Halloween themed hot sauce. So what we have here are some carboneros. These are some really hot peppers, and as you can see, beautiful orange color. These are very, very strong smelling. They have such a lovely smell and aroma, but they can fool you because they are quite sweet, but they also are very, very hot. So I'm really going to crush it down in there just so that they don't go too far up to the top of the jar, or else it could cause problems with the airlock. I need a 2 to 3% brine mix. I'm going to do 200 grams, which is about 200 milliliters of water. So for 200 grams, I'm going to need, if I'm doing 2 to 3, then let's say between 4 and 6 grams of salt I need for 200 grams. I'm going to make it about 5 grams. There we go. Always make sure that you don't stick the airlock through too far because the liquid will push up through here and you don't want that. So that is going to go into the fermentator and we will come back to it in about 2 weeks' time. The peppers have been fermenting now for 2 weeks, so it's time now to check on them and just see how they're doing. So here we can have a look at them. And they're looking really good. Look how fresh that looks. There's lots of little bubbles. It has been bubbling away perfectly for the last 2 weeks, and I'm pretty happy with that. To keep with the Halloween theme, this sauce is going to have an extra Halloween ingredient. We've got this lovely pumpkin, and we need to get into it because I don't need the whole lot. Obviously, the sauce, if we have a look next to the pumpkin, the sauce, we need about almost an equal amount of pumpkin as we do these peppers. So we won't need the whole pumpkin, but we need to be able to get into this. How about a good old cleaver? Nah, I think I got something better. How about a chainsaw? So we've sliced into the pumpkin. So we now have our sliced up pumpkin and we're ready to do the next bit. If you are going to be using a chainsaw to cut up your pumpkin, make sure you trim off the edges because as you can see here, it is rather dirty. Make sure you do this with a ripe pumpkin. I'm going to chop this pumpkin up a little bit and I'm going to give it a good rinse so that we don't have any of the dirt and stuff that's on there. We've got our peppers, we have our pumpkin. Now let's just measure this all out, make sure that we do have the same amounts. What I need to do here is just open this up. It'll be the first time I've opened it up since we started the fermentation. Oh, you've got to love that smell of fermentation. So good. But if you have a look inside there, you can see that is looking really healthy. Really happy with that. That's done a good job. Could go for probably another week, but 2 weeks is more than enough. I think I've got that perfectly done. So what we need to do is get rid of the liquid that's in there, the brine. Oh, the smells are really coming out even more now. We have 103 grams of peppers. Let's now weigh out 103 grams of pumpkin. There we go. That's 100 grams of pumpkin. That's going to go straight into this because we are now going to blend things together. Something that goes really well with pumpkin is cinnamon. So in here we have 100 grams of peppers, 100 grams of the pumpkin, and we're going to be adding half a teaspoon of cinnamon. A big part of Halloween is the trick or treat. And this here is a little bit of both. And we are going to be adding a little bit more of the treat in here. We're going to be adding some sweetness. So I'm going to be adding a tablespoon of sugar into this. Well, I'm actually going to be using erythritol, but feel free, use normal sugar. What would go really well in here is brown sugar. So use the equivalent of a tablespoon of sugar. If you're going to use some other sweetener, use a tablespoon equivalent. And now we just need to blend this up. Now all we need to do is add a little bit of vinegar in here, and we're going to continue blending this. The vinegar is a little bit optional. It's up to you if you want to add it or not. I recommend adding it for two reasons. One, it's going to decrease the pH level, so increase the acidity. Make this a bit safer for you. It's not necessarily going to be shelf stable because there's quite a lot of pumpkin in here, which is not necessarily a very low pH food. So don't consider this a shelf stable food. I would stick this in the fridge when you're done, regardless of whether you add vinegar or not. But the vinegar is just going to make it a little bit more acidic and keep it a bit safer for a bit longer. That's 100 milliliters of vinegar. Let's give this a bit of a test and see what it tastes like. Okay, it's hot. Yeah, I don't know why I do that every time. I open it up and I stick my nose in it to have a good smell, but it just blasts the back of my sinuses. I'm going to pour a little bit into this bowl so I can give it a taste. Oh, pretty pleased with myself because that tastes pretty damn good. Sweetness is good, very, very spicy. The pumpkin comes through. You could potentially go with a little bit more cinnamon, I think, but again, not everybody loves cinnamon. That's really good. So give that a try, a Halloween themed hot sauce. That's it for this video. I think this is a pretty damn good hot sauce. Let me know if you try making this recipe. Let me know in the comments below what you think. And I hope you enjoyed watching this video as much as I enjoyed making it. I mean, where else do I get to go and play with the chainsaw and chop up some pumpkins? Thank you for watching, and we'll see you again on the next video. Bye-bye for now.